Hello, everybody. Welcome to SysGuide's YouTube channel. In this video, I will show you how to install Fedora Workstation 40 with Snapshot and rollback support. Once the Fedora operating system is installed, I will install the Snapper and Grub-Btrfs packages. With the Snapper and Grub-Btrfs packages installed, you will be able to create, delete, compare, and revert differences between snapshots. So if you make a mistake while modifying the system configuration, installing packages, or updating, you won't have to worry about breaking the system. Simply restore the snapshot prior to the problematic change, and you'll be fine. For this guide, I will use a hard disk with a capacity of 128 gigabytes. I will create a 600 megabyte EFI system partition and use the remaining disk space to create a partition for the Linux file system. Fedora also creates a swap on ZRAM during boot, so no separate swap partition is required. I will not create a separate boot partition because I want the boot directory to be part of the system root. So when you undo changes between two snapshots or roll back a snapshot, the boot directory is also rolled back along with the system root. This eliminates kernel mismatch with the reverted system. And then on the Btrfs volume, I will create subvolumes for these directories. Some directories contain temporary files and caches. Others contain data that you do not want to lose. And some should be in read-write mode when booting into a read-only snapshot. So let's get started. Boot your system using the Fedora Workstation 40 installer in UEFI mode. On the welcome screen, click the Install Fedora option. Select your language. I'll go with English United States. Next, in localization, I'll keep the defaults, keyboard and time set to US. Click the installation destination option. Choose the advanced radio button and click the done button. Here, you will create the partitions, file systems, and Btrfs subvolumes required to install Fedora Workstation 40. First, you need to create and mount the EFI partition. Click the plus button to create a partition. Set the partition size to 600 MIB. The file system to EFI system partition. I'll label it as EFI. You can set it to whatever you want, and a mount point to /boot/EFI. Press OK to create. And then you must create a Btrfs volume. Select the free space and click on the plus button again. I will use all the remaining disk space. Set the file system to Btrfs and the mount point to / that is root. Press OK to create. Next, you must create a home subvolume. So select the Btrfs volume and the plus button. Enter the name as home and mount point as /home. Click OK to finish. The home subvolume has been created. I will create the remaining subvolumes once the installation is finished. For now, click the Done button to complete the storage configuration. To finalize the changes, click the Accept Changes button. and then press the Begin Installation button to start the installation process. The installation is now complete. Click the Finish Installation button. Then restart the computer. After rebooting, finish the remaining customization steps, such as creating a new login, password, etc. You will then be logged into the Fedora Workstation 40 with the all-new GNOME 46 desktop interface. Open the terminal. When booting your system, you may have noticed this error message. This error occurs because the Grub-Btrfs mod driver, unlike ext4, is read-only. So to resolve this, run this command. Next, see if the Btrfs volume label has been set. As you can see, it has not been set. So set the label. I will set it to Fedora. You can change it to whatever you want. Check your setup. Your setup should look something like this. Next, check your subvolumes. As you can see, a home subvolume has been created. As specified during the installation, the machine's subvolume is created automatically by systemd when you install Fedora Workstation. Next, enable the fastest mirrors to speed up package downloads. Clear all previous caches. And update the local DNF metadata cache. Install some packages. You will need them later. Now update your operating system. Finally, reboot your system. I'll now proceed to create the remaining subvolumes. But first, make sure that the directory /var /lib/libvirt already exists. This directory will store libvirt managed virtual machine images. When you install Fedora Workstation, it is automatically created. However, for other spins, it will not be. So if it doesn't already exist, run this command to create it. Now you need to get the UUID of your Btrfs system root. Copy the UUID and store it in the variable named root_UUID. Next, you need to get the mount options set for the Btrfs subvolume. Copy it and store it in the variable named options. Now you must define subvolumes. For that, go to my webpage on the same topic. I'll add the link to this page in the description. I will create these subvolumes. If you are installing Fedora for KDE desktop, replace GDM with SDDM. By default, Fedora Workstation includes the Firefox web browser. So I'll only create a subvolume for the Mozilla directory. If you plan to install Google Chrome, you should also create a subvolume for Google Chrome. So add this line. If you use Mozilla Thunderbird email client, add this line. If you use the GNU-PG encryption and signing tool, also add this line to the subvolumes array. Similarly, if you use the SSH remote login client, add this line to the subvolumes array as well. For this video tutorial, I'll only create the Mozilla subvolume in the user's home directory. So copy the subvolumes array and its elements. Paste it into your terminal and press enter. Print the elements in the array to ensure all the subvolumes are defined. Find the length of the longest element in the subvolumes array. In my case, it's 24. The length of this element. Next, copy this command from for to done. Paste it in the terminal and press enter. This small script will create subvolumes. If the subvolumes directory already exists, it will be renamed and a new subvolume will be created. And all of the files in the old directory will then be copied to the newly created directory. Now that the subvolumes have been created, change the ownership of the directories to your username. As you can see, the existing Mozilla directory has been renamed, and a new Mozilla subvolume directory has been created in its place. Next, check your FS tab file. It should look something like this. The UUID and username will be unique to your system. Mount all the subvolumes. Now, check your subvolumes. As you can see, all of the subvolumes specified in the subvolumes array have been created, and your setup should now look something like this. Now that everything seems to be in order, you can remove the old directories. Copy from for to done. Paste it into the terminal and hit enter. All the old directories have now been removed. Now install Snapper. Snapper is a tool for Linux file system snapshot management. Snapper allows you to create, delete, compare, and revert differences between snapshots. If anything goes wrong, you can also completely roll back to a snapshot. Snapper also creates pre and post snapshots whenever you install a package on the system using the DNF package manager. In order for Snapper to function, a new configuration for a subvolume must be created. So create new Snapper configuration named root for the Btrfs volume at system root, and a new Snapper configuration named home for the Btrfs volume at /home. Verify that the Snapper configuration files have been created. Now you need to allow regular users to use Snapper without root privileges. So add your username to ACL on system root. And also on home. Next, you need to add the newly created snapshot subvolumes to the fstab file. So open the fstab file, copy the line with the home subvolume, paste twice, and make the changes accordingly. Save and exit. Reload the fstab file. Now check your subvolumes. As you can see, snapshot subvolumes have been added. You now need to disable update DB's indexing of the snapshot directories. So open the update DB configuration file, and then add the snapshot directories to the file. Next, enable the snapshot booting. Open the Grub configuration file. Enable Btrfs snapshot booting. You must also make changes to another Grub configuration file. Enable the Btrfs relative path here. Finally, update the Grub configuration file. Check the snapshots for system root, and also for the home directory. At this stage, you do not have any snapshots. In my next video where I test Snapper, I will show you how to create and manage snapshots. Now that you've installed Snapper, you must now install Grub-Btrfs. While Snapper allows you to create snapshots, Grub-Btrfs allows you to boot from one of those snapshots. If you encounter a problem with your Fedora operating system, you can boot into one of the Snapper snapshots from the Grub menu and restore the system. Clone the Grub-Btrfs repository. Change to the Grub-Btrfs directory. Copy from sed to config. Paste it into the terminal and press enter. Install Grub-Btrfs. You will see the no snapshots found error. This is because you haven't yet created any snapshots. So don't worry, it'll work fine after you do. Update Grub. Enable Grub-Btrfs service. The Grub-Btrfs installation is now complete. You can now delete the clone Grub-Btrfs repository. Now that you have installed and configured everything you need to manage snapshots, it is time to create a subvolume snapshot of the main volume and make it the default system root. This allows you to roll back without specifying the snapshot number when using the Snapper tool. So first, create a directory named 1. In the /.snapshots directory, create an XML file called info.xml in the 1 directory. copy from sudo to EOF, paste it into your terminal, and press enter. Make sure that the date is set properly and is in UTC format. Now create a read-write subvolume snapshot of the system root in the one directory. Get the ID of the new subvolume you have just created. For me, it is 271. Using the subvolume ID, set the subvolume in the one directory as the default subvolume for the system root. Confirm that the subvolume is set as the default. And reboot. As you can see, there is still no snapshots menu in the Grub. When you take a snapshot with the snapper, it is automatically added. In the next video, I'll show you how to create, manage, and roll back snapshots. As you can see, the subvolume in the one directory is the default and is currently active. Your system is now ready to take snapshots. This concludes the video. I highly recommend that you watch my next video, in which I will run some tests on Snapper to ensure that everything is working properly and that there are no issues. For now, goodbye.